Hi everybody, it's Suzette here with Garden Goddess Ferments, and welcome to another edition of Just Ask Judy with our in-house certified nutritionist, Judy. Today we are going to talk about GMOs.
We are.
Tell us about a GMO.
What is GMO? Saying, what is a GMO? So we know that GMO literally stands for genetically modified organism. So breaking that down, what that means is we're talking about plants especially today, you took an organism and you genetically engineered it or changed its DNA to be something else.
That's right.
Okay, so for example, let's just talk about something that seems like sort of benign. Like, I don't know if you all have heard about these apples that don't turn brown when you cut them. They just stay, like they look like they're fresh. You would say, well, that would be pretty good because I don't like to eat a brown apple and the minute I cut an apple. However, what if you're buying apples that are cut like for snacks at a restaurant or or a coffee house, or you're in a grocery store, and these apples look so beautiful and they're not brown and they're cut, but really they're like 3 days old.
Oh.
So would that be a good thing? No, they've genetically altered it in order for it to aesthetically look better. That's just one thing, but the really horrible, I want to say examples of that, thanks to Monsanto especially, with their Roundup, is what they've done if they have genetically engineered plants to withstand obscene amounts of pesticides like Roundup. Or some of the corn that we have in the United States is genetically altered to actually create its own pesticide from within. Why in God's name would we want to eat a plant that has been genetically modified?
So I have a theory with that, because about 10 or 15 years ago, they came out with these genetically modified plants that the corn that would explode the stomach of the insect eating it. So therefore killing the insect right away. So, all right, if it's going to explode the stomach of that insect, what do you think is going to do to our guts when we eat that? Now, fast forward 10 years, we've been consuming this product that's been sprayed or that's been genetically modified, and we're coming up with gut issues, diverticulitis, gut issues,
food sensitivities, food allergies. The kids' immune systems are so, if you think about it, since the mid-90s, we've had these genetically altered foods around. So there's a generation now that grew up on
almost them. Our third generation now is growing up with processed foods. And so it's the children, the mothers having children now are mothers from the mothers that started with genetically modified foods. And now we're having younger and younger children with all these gut issues. And I had a gal come to me a couple weeks ago and she goes, my gut just exploded. I don't know, it just exploded a hole in it. And I first thought of those corn or the
insects,
the GMO stomach. Yeah, that's what's happening to us. So we want to stay away from genetically modified foods or GMOs. So what do we look for when we go to the grocery store, Judy?
Right. The other thing I just want to also say about with what Suzette was just talking about is, so inflammation, especially in the gut, it's very
root of all evil.
It is. So especially in the gut. So that once the gut we call it leaky gut syndrome. Once that occurs, then all the bad guys can come in. Our microbiome, you hear that word all the time. The environment in the gut becomes very susceptible to the bad guys, right? And so inflammation, we know, is the root of all evil in many disease states as well.
That's right. So we want to eliminate as much inflammation as possible from our guts. And one way is avoiding genetically modified foods, which you will find a lot of in our fast foods and our cheaper type foods. Yeah.
Right? If you don't know what oil somebody's cooking, that also can become problematic, because when we're using, good God, cotton and corn and soy are the three biggest genetically altered foods, crops in the United States. 90% of those foods, of those crops, are genetically altered. 90%.
That's criminal.
And there's about 5 additional crops that are also genetically altered, including sugar beets. So that's why when you're getting anything with sugar in it, make sure it's organic.
And all these beet products now are coming out as well. And so we're just going through beets and beets and beets. And not only are they loaded with sugar, but they can be genetically modified.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do we find ones that aren't?
That we aren't. Well, organic. So we've put together a couple of things. And this one right here was interesting because typically Judy wants us to look for this label right here. It
Genetically
says
verified.
genetically non-GMO project. And I know being a manufacturer, those are very expensive.
The certification.
The certifications are very expensive. But this particular organic product, it's rolled oats. It does say on the back that they strive to avoid genetically engineered ingredients. U.S. law does not allow the use of genetically engineered ingredients or seed products in anything that is labeled organic.
Right.
So does that leave us clear?
Not necessarily, because we can have foods that are bad for you that are organic. So that's a whole another issue that we have to think about, right? But like when it's just single ingredients, it's easy. Like organic cane sugar, like you see here, it's just the sugar and it's organic. So we know it's non-GMO because it's organic, okay?
And they also have the little guys on the back. Oh, on the front, sorry. The non-GMO certification.
Yeah, or like I think what you were also speaking to is we can have non-GMO tag on here, certification, yet read some of the other additional ingredients in the product that makes it not a great product to be,
Because of the canola oil.
Yeah.
We want to stay away from canola oil. And if you missed that section or that video about us talking about canola oil, just drop a line down in our comments. It will be on our YouTube station as well. So we've got GMOs. Now, when you talked about going out to the restaurants and what kind of oil do they use, I'm starting to ask.
Good.
My kids hate it.
Okay.
It's like, Mom,
let them hate it.
Don't ask
okay.
them what kind of oil, because I know if I'm going to choose to consume that food with that canola oil in it, I need to get it out of my system, and I want to detox it out of my body. And one great way to do that is with our beet juice. Ta-da! Yay! Isn't that fun? So the fermented beet kvass is actually a great liver, gallbladder, blood detoxifier, and it helps to get those GMO products out of your system. That does not warrant you to be able to go out and eat all the GMO just so you can have.
Right, but it's almost virtually impossible to avoid all GMOs.
It is.
I mean, you can just go to one restaurant one time and you're going to get it, right? And I wanted to also say that they have found now recently this very specific. It's in corn, some of the GMO corn, that in blood levels of humans and even fetal, blood is showing this toxin from the corn that is genetically modified. So it's in us.
Bad.
There's no doubt. Nobody wants to, say that, or especially the like Monsanto and these chemical companies that are making all of these pesticides and herbicides. But it's the truth.
It's the truth, and we are here to give it to you. Thank you for joining us on Just Ask Judy. Please join us every Tuesday at noon on Facebook Live and at our YouTube channel, justaskjudy.live. Have a wonderful day after we ruined it with the GMO talk.
Join us next week.
And join us next week on Tuesday. And remember, everybody, eat fermented foods daily. It's a matter of life and health.